Hey, Jeff, here we are trying a new technology thing. That was kind of fun. We'll see what happens when we look at the recording later. That'll be interesting to see if our title slide showed up.
Yes, I know.
So,
Look at you with all the fancy new tech things that we're trying out.
you know, learning new things means that we might be able to improve because let's face it, there's always a place where we can grow and get better at what we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Happy
yeah.
Monday, week of Thanksgiving.
Yes. And since it's the week of Thanksgiving, so nice of you to just like open the door so I can just drive the truck through. We're going to talk about gratitude this week on the live stream because all of us, whether we're a business owner, whether we're an employee, whether we are a retiree, we live in a world and we need to find things to be grateful for and express that gratitude. There are so many benefits for doing that. So, gosh, where do we start? It's a huge topic. But practicing the habit of gratitude allows us to see the world from a perspective of abundance versus scarcity. And no matter how little we have in any specific moment, there are things we can be grateful for, whether it's the fact that the sun is shining.
I know. I
Or
was just going to say that it's not gray and cloudy today.
exactly. But then again, when there's a day when it's, especially right now for us in central Ohio, having a rainy day here and there is a good thing because that we need rain on occasion. We,
Yes,
and watering things gets expensive over time.
yes, it does. Says my water bill this summer for
Yeah, yeah,
irrigation.
exactly. I was thinking about that with the water, with the grass that we planted this fall, and our water bill tripled because we had to water it every single day because it wasn't raining this fall. So here we are. And, that's so I guess one thing you can be grateful for in that situation is at least we can turn on the tap and water comes out. I
That
mean,
is
living
very
on the bright
true.
side. And that we have enough money to pay the water bill. Those are things to be grateful for.
Yes,
As a leader in a company, um, practicing gratitude yourself and then allowing that to spill over into your leadership of your company has tons of benefits. First of all, when you practice gratitude yourself, and we'll talk in a little later about what it looks like to actually have a gratitude practice, because there is such a thing. Um, but when you have a mindset of gratitude, it helps you to get through challenges more easily because you can see ways of turning those challenges into opportunities because you see those seeds of what's possible in the challenge that you can then translate into a way to walk through it. So, I mean, I'm a big gratitude. Truthfully, I'm probably a gratitude junkie. And when you become somebody that's that positive about something, it's almost hard to talk about it and deconstruct it so that you can talk about it. It's just like this big thing out there.
yeah.
So,
You know, the thing that I was just thinking of, from last week or the week before, all my weeks run together that we talked about is how long it takes to create a new habit.
yeah,
Not doing this gratitude thing today, and at the end of this, you decide, man, I really can see the benefits and should start doing this.
yeah,
Uh, you know, make sure you stick with it at least 21 days because we know that's how long it takes to make a habit. And I will say with this, a little bit of a skeptic the first time I heard of this. It's like, okay, this sounds like
oh,
a hold hands and sing kumbaya type, thing that just really isn't me. But it is really powerful, and I think that so often our brains are kind of wired initially to look for the negative or the things
they
that
are.
won't work.
That's true. They are wired for the negative for a reason. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, no, it's that whole primal thing, right? Like
Yeah,
survival.
exactly.
What's the
The
worst that can happen?
protection. What's that thing that's what the thing that's going to threaten me? It is a protection.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is, I think it is pretty powerful, and the more you can train your mind to look for those positive things, they're really all around us. I mean, they're
So true.
everywhere. Just we take for granted certain things, I think, just in the day to day mundane, or even in the business. It's easy to take things for granted on where you're at. And especially as a business owner, if you have maybe some results, we talked about planning for next year. If you're looking through your plan right now, maybe for 2022, you didn't end up where you wanted. There's still really morsel good things in there to be super grateful for.
True, because you never know. If you didn't get to where you wanted to go, there may be some things that are happening now that are, when you do that reflecting, you can see them and you can see that oh, I need to stick with this. It's just that we're not there yet to what it is that we need to be doing, or that we're shooting for. It's taking longer. I hate that part. I hate it when it takes longer than we want to for us to get where we want to go. But, and I can't remember who it was that I've heard say this, but it's probably more than one person. Many times people quit like right before the thing is going to turn over, and they walk away from it at that point in time. Now, I have no idea what that has to do with gratitude, but being grateful for those little things that are saying you're going in the right direction, keep going, is really important. And the reflecting that you do in a gratitude practice helps you see those things more clearly. So even though some people might be skeptics and think it's all about singing Kumbaya, which occasionally is a good thing to do, I'm just saying. We're going to talk about that another day. That's going to be a fun one. That will probably be along the lines of put the rope in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was going to come up today.
That may be just the goal. How can we, at every week, talk about the rope in the wheelbarrow? And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you'll have to go back a couple of weeks, because there was a conversation where I said something about pushing a rope uphill, and Jeff
and that you couldn't do it.
You cannot push a rope uphill. And then Jeff says,
you can, because you just put it in the wheelbarrow and push the wheelbarrow up the hill.
Whatever. Okay. So back to gratitude, smarty pants. And even things like having somebody that keeps you on your toes because they're constantly poking you with a sharp stick is something to be grateful for. Because you just never know what kind of craziness is going to come out of that poking with the sharp stick. How you can turn that into something that's an opportunity. So, excuse me. Practicing gratitude as a business owner helps your employees feel valued. That's part of how you retain the good people you want to keep on your team. I was just reading an article this morning that again talked about the fact that managers leave bad bosses. If you are a boss who's practicing gratitude, who learns how to see it in your own life and then express it to your team, they are not going to want to leave, because they're going to see that you value them and the work that they're doing, and it motivates them to stay connected and keep working with you toward the goals of the organization.
That is very, very true. I think we've all got, when you mention that, bosses that have popped into our heads that maybe we're not very, put it nice, very effective leaders. We've all had them that we work for.
True.
And I think that that's one of the things that, they probably were lacking among probably some other skills and things, is just the ability to, look for the positive in things and kind of really focus on what that looks like and what that impact is.
That's really true. And if you, as a boss, business owner, both positions. Hey, Jeff, I'm going to stop for a second because I realized that we forgot to do something. We forgot to say, hey, if you're with us, let us know. And
Oh,
feel free to type that into the chat. Just slacking off. Here we are at the 10-minute mark, and I forgot to say that. I'm sorry. If you are here with us, please let us know, and feel free to jump in with any insights, any stories you have about gratitude. We would love to hear them and, talk about them with you. That would be really awesome. And if you're watching the video later, we would love to hear that from you. We will certainly keep watching the chat and respond to it later down the road too. So I keep talking about starting a gratitude practice, and it's to be honest with you, it is such a simple thing to do, but sometimes people make this like big hurdle out of it. But if I start a gratitude practice, what does that mean I have to do? I got to do one more thing. Are you kidding me? So it can take you 30 seconds. 30 seconds, either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. And you can define that as when you get up in the morning or when you get to the office, take your pick. Or obviously when you're getting ready to leave the office or when you go to bed. Again, take your pick. But find a time that is the time you are going to do this. As you're establishing this habit, you're creating the neural pathway in your brain of doing this. And all you're going to do is stop and think about three things that you are grateful for. Now, Jeff and I have mentioned some really super simple, so obvious, you probably don't even think about them, things. Rain, sunshine, people who are smart Alex, who will remain nameless. Laughter. Laughter is one I write down all the time. And if you've listened to this live stream at all, you know why Rhonda says laughter on a regular basis. And some days my list is longer than others, but to start with saying three things. And I like to say that you need to have a little book of some kind. I had a little book. Oh, here it is. Just a little notebook of any kind to write them in. Write the date, 1, 2, 3, gratitudes. You're done. That's it. That's all you have to do. And if you do that for 21 days, I will bet you that by the 21st day, you're writing down more than 3 things, because you're starting to, the more you do this, the more you see more and more things that you're grateful for. I mean, sometimes I have 2 columns. Not that I'm an overachiever or anything, but I have been doing that. What did you say?
No, you overachieve.
But I've been doing this long enough now that I see many things I'm grateful for. That tons of things that I'm grateful for. And so if you start this practice for yourself, that's step 1. As a business owner, boss, leader in the organization, just person who decides you want to spread more positive vibes in the world. Going from, I'm going to write down my gratitude on a daily basis, to I'm going to express gratitude to others is the next step. So when you see someone in your organization doing something really positive, hey, that was awesome that you did that, Susie. When you took care of that customer like that, you really made an impact. And I noticed that. And I'm very grateful that you took care of that, because you are really good at that. That's step 2. Step 3 that really takes it to the next level, and you can do this because there are people who intentionally make this practice an important thing that they do as a leader, and it is really an important one. The third step on that is when you see Susie do that, you say that in the moment, and then you write a note to her with a pen and paper, and you write a note that you then either mail or put on that person's desk that says, I'm so grateful for what you did. That is really important work, and I'm grateful for it. So they now not only heard you say that to them, but they have something that they can hold in their hand and look at down the road that reminds them of this important thing that you noticed that they did. Now, it can be an action in a moment. It can be a way that you see somebody over time doing something, and you call that out to them and tell them how much you appreciate it. It can be somebody does something in a meeting and you commend them in front of everybody. Know your people. Know the way that, I mean, there are some people it's like, oh my God, don't call it.
Don't put me on the spotlight. I don't
Yeah,
want
exactly. Oh my gosh. So know your people, but make sure that you're thanking other people for the work they're doing, for what they're contributing, because sometimes they don't even realize the impact they're making until you say that to them. They're just they're just like moving forward. They're doing their job. They're getting it done. And they don't realize how big that impact is until you say to them, wow, this is so important, the work that you're doing. And we all need to hear that.
And the other thing that I just build on to that is even if it's not in the moment, I had probably about a year and a half ago someone that worked for me. I think it was like their first kind of real job out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a situation had happened. They were working on something that was kind of not sanctioned by the department that would oversee it. But as a leader, I thought it was great because it made the team more efficient and they took initiative and everything. And I had no idea they got called into a meeting with an IT team, and they were doing some IT stuff, but they weren't in IT. And
Okay.
I did not realize that the person was kind of nervous about it. They felt like they were in trouble for something. And I had found out about the meeting and stopped in.
Why am I not surprised by that?
On what a great job and how much beneficial and everything that this thing is that they had done. And that was probably 10 years ago. And they 10 plus years ago, they had reached out and wrote a blog post about a year and a half ago about just different leaders and mentors that had an impact on their career when they were getting started. And that example was one of them that was in there and reached out to tell me about it. And, it was great hearing that, not just, pat on the back, but sometimes the things that you do that are just inherent in who you are as a boss or as a leader, you don't realize that the impact that those have on people's careers
That's
and the
so
trajectory
true.
that they're on. And it was one of those that it was, there's a huge gap between when that happened and when I
Yeah.
was reading the person's blog post that they sent to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I do remember this. And to me, it wasn't anything big. I was just doing what I was doing to support a member of my team, in the moment. And that, had a huge impact. And then reading, I knew some of the other people that were mentioned in the blog post too. And being able to read and see the impact that they had on this person in just everyday interactions, so I think, one of the lessons at least I took away from that is it's never too late, to share that gratitude, whether it's written, like in this case, that's what kind of prompted it. It was like, oh my gosh, this happened. And there was
Mm-hmm.
10 plus year gap between when the action occurred and, when I kind of found out what the impact of that was. And it was really cool to see.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the that practice of sharing that, um, I have a friend who, as a Lenten practice for several years, has written thank you notes to people. Actually, ironically, you know who this person is. I'm not going to say it on the show, but you happen to know who this person is. And I hadn't put that together until just now. Um, she writes these thank you notes to people who have impacted her life all across her life. It's really amazing. And when, like you said, that person had connected 10 years earlier, or around that, this person, it was a good 10 years ago that we were really super connected. And then you get that note from that person all that time later, and it's like, wow, I never thought about the impact that I had. It's one of those things that prompts me to think about writing thank you notes much more than I've been in the habit of doing it throughout my life. I throughout my life I've been terrible at writing thank you notes. Somehow I raised a daughter who is fabulous at writing thank you notes, which to me is one of the ways you practice gratitude. Actually, it's not that I raised a daughter who is really good at that. It's that her mother-in-law was just an amazing thank you note writer. And she has picked that up from her husband's mother. And it is an amazing practice that she has, because the way she writes about how things that you would not even think about have an impact on her. I mean, she's not writing a thank you note because you got her a new an air fryer for Christmas. I don't know, whatever. But thank you for being a great Nana to the grandkids, because that makes such an impact. That is important for their lives and our lives, that you and Papa do these things with the kids, and you're making memories with them, and blah blah blah. Those kinds of things, which goes back to the same thing I was talking about with somebody who's a leader in an organization, writing thank you notes for just little things that people are doing. Not just the, wow, you hit it out of the park on that big presentation you had to do. But when you are consistent in your building a relationship with that potential client, that's so important for us. And I really appreciate that you do that.
Yeah.
So,
One of the things I had a boss that had shared with me years ago to do when you get kind of these written gratitude thank yous for things that you've done as a leader, as a boss, as a friend, whatever, is to keep them and put them in a
yes.
file folder. And anytime that you're going through maybe a little bit of a rough patch where maybe you're having some self-doubt or not sure if you're on the right path, get the folder out and just review some of the things that people have noticed about you. And after I had gotten that advice years ago, I did it, and I still have it to today. I mean, and there's things in there that are probably close to 20 years old now, that people have sent, or emails that people had sent to me. If it wasn't a handwritten note about the impact that I had on their career at a certain point, or
Yep.
something that I did to help them, or whatever. And it's kind of, it helps to recenter, with all the negativity that's around in society, just to recenter, I think at times that, hey, I'm on the right track. Like, I'm making an impact for people. And then the flip side of that is really what we're talking about, which is making sure that you're doing that to others as well, and letting them know the impact that they've had on you, or the things that you're grateful for.
Exactly. So that's why you start the gratitude practice by just doing this little 30-second, 2-minute, however long it takes you, to stop at a specific time every day and reflect on what you're grateful for and write it down. The reason why I keep saying write it down is because there is a pattern that is, your brain to your hand makes a pattern of you doing this. It's part of the habit creation process. It's part of processing when you take your pen in your hand and literally write down whatever it is. I don't care if you can't read it. It's not about the penmanship. It's about writing it down. Brain, hand, paper. Write it down. Doing that on a regular basis helps you then grow. And James Clear talks about habit stacking. So, out of the habit of gratitude, what if you created the 30-second to 2-minute habit of practicing gratitude every day, and then you habit stack on it? Once you've established the pattern of gratitude and you start really seeing it, next to wherever that little pad is that you're writing your gratitude down, you have a stack of thank you notes, and you start saying every day, I'm going to write a thank you note that goes with whatever it is I'm looking at from the standpoint of practicing gratitude. Not only am I going to write 3 things I'm grateful for, but I'm going to write a thank you note to one person. Wow, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's a great way to stack them. Although, I do have to say, in this
Yes.
question, Rhonda, the one thing that keeps coming to mind, and I couldn't figure out how to find this and get it to play through the live stream, but the one thing when you talk about thank you notes is
Yes.
Jimmy Fallon. Have you ever seen when he does his thank you notes on his show?
No, I haven't. Clearly, I need to go look at that.
Yes, you've got to go look at it. Jimmy
I'm
Fallon's
writing that
that's what I
down.
always keep thinking of is he gets cards out and dear so and so, thank you for dot 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 whatever. And usually they're kind of funny. Usually they are funny.
No, of course it is. I mean, it's Jimmy Fallon.
That's what I had in my head when we were talking about writing thank you notes. And I was like, man, I should see if I could just get the background music to play on here to say, do you know what this is? Or kind of mock what he does. And yeah.
But you know what? Even if it's just like a silly little thing that you're, so obviously, I'm sure if Jimmy Fallon is writing a thank you note, I'm I have pictures in my head that are just frightening, but it doesn't have to be a big thing that you're writing a thank you note for. It can be a little thing. It can be thank you for being the person who saw that this needed to be done and taking action on it.
Yeah.
Because I knew I couldn't do it, but you took the initiative. Actually, that's not a little thing. That's a big thing, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much out there that you can
Oh,
find.
tons.
I mean, it's easy to, although it might not feel easy if you're starting out doing this, to come up with
That's
3
true.
items. And sometimes it's even, I think, making sure that those items, I've read somewhere like the first 21 days, you should try not to duplicate anything.
I was thinking about saying that, but I decided I'm not going to be so constricting that.
But, I think that is one of the things that could be something to challenge you, not that you couldn't, right? But something to challenge you when you're getting started so that you go, beyond surface level things. I'm thankful that I have a house, at home. And okay, that's great. And I'm not saying that I shouldn't be, but that shouldn't be the same thing I write down for 21 days either.
No, that's cheating.
Yeah, right. Like you got to find some other things. What else is there, that you might be
True.
thankful for? So, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it might be a good way to challenge if you're starting this to think about, can you come up with 3 unique things for 21 days? Or they might
I'm sorry.
twist on those, slight twists about something that, might interrelate to another day, but not word for word the same exact thing.
Or if saying I can't come up with 3 things every day for 21 days, say I'm going to come up with 3 different things or twists on things. I like that part of it, quite frankly, because if there's something like, okay, I have a home. Well, I mean, there are a multitude of things that you could say why you're thankful for the fact that you have a house to live in. So 7 days of different things about that. But what I was going to say is if it sounds too overwhelming to you to say that I can't write the same thing down for 21 whole days, okay, try 7 to start with. Try 7 days. I'm going to just write down 3 different things each day for 7 days and see where you are. Then look at how you're going to do it for the next 7, but still keep doing it.
Yeah.
So you can grow into it.
Yeah, that's the cool thing is there's a lot of ways, and I think the biggest thing is just get started. I mean, you're talking about 30 seconds. People the first of the year will be worried about trying to get healthy and working out and finding 10-minute abs, but now they're 6-minute abs because it's faster than 10 minutes. We're talking about 30 seconds to a minute, right? And this is something you can do anywhere. You don't have to drive to a particular place or building to do it.
True.
You can do it anywhere, and just to have that notebook with you when you do it.
That being said, creating the habit of being in the same, especially at the same time. Now, granted, there's going to be a day, when things don't go smoothly and you can't do it at the same time or the same place. But keeping those things consistent, the same time and the same place. So you're going to do it when you walk out in the kitchen to make your coffee in the morning. I don't know. That's one place. So you have your little book and your little pen next to the. Do you notice I have more than one pen laying here on my desk? I'm just saying.
I was just going to say that was a different one than the last time that you picked up one.
I got 3.
Okay.
Just laying on the desk. That's bad. Anyway, but to have that right there next to the coffee pot, that you can do that while you're standing there waiting. Even with a Keurig, it takes a couple seconds for your coffee to brew. Do your gratitude. That's a habit stack right there.
Yeah.
So
you are full of great ideas. There is no excuse for people not to start this today.
So nice of you to bring that up, Jeff. And you're right, there isn't. And the other thing from that standpoint, that I'm going to challenge people to do, and our grandchildren had us do this last Thanksgiving, go around the table and everybody has to say one thing they're grateful for. It was really powerful to hear the different people at the table and what they shared. So that's a different way to practice gratitude and to practice it in a group of people. So all kinds of ways gratitude can show up in your life, but start the practice. It will change how you see things, and it will help you as a leader to be more present with your people, to express things, and they want to stay connected because of that. The investment is small for a huge return. And on that note, Jeff, next week, which is a really fun one to think about considering what we've been talking about the last few weeks, we're going to talk about the habit of consistency. So, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Have a great week. And we'll see you for consistency next Monday.
That works. You almost said we'll see you on Thanksgiving. I will not be on Thanksgiving, but I will see you on Monday at 12 Eastern time. Be there, be square.
All right. Take care.
See ya.